This is a devlog, my first. I'd like advice. Tell me what you think. Go into more detail or maybe describe things in broad strokes. I want to make a game about realistic, complex melee combat and realistic, complex morality. In the far future, the baby will have the strength to lift a sword and the maturity to sit at the table of diplomacy, but for now, it must simply be taught to walk.
In the last video, over the course of a day, this much was accomplished. Over the course of a week since then, this much has been accomplished. I've grouped all the developments into 7 steps.
Please note that the day I code something and the day I release a video are different. It takes time to edit the video after all.
Pausing.
Pausing has long been perplexing.
Disable all objects, then re-enable the ones you want. Take a snapshot of the screen and display it on the topmost layer.
But just look at this.
Press P to turn pause on and off. Then, at the top of every script you want to pause, just put this. If the game's paused, it exits the script. All the variables about movement and stuff don't change because the script isn't running fully. Thanks a lot, Ranger X. Slants and curves. Collision with slants and curves is easy in Scratch, but difficult elsewhere. It used to be so complicated in Gamemaker to make slant collisions that Shaun Spalding made an hour-long video explaining it. But now Gamemaker has a function that figures it all out for you, slants and curves.
It's pixel perfect.
Sprint.
Part of the complex combat mentioned earlier will involve where the player moves and how. Short bursts of sprinting will allow the player to swing their sword faster and get past their opponent's block. Something like that.
Pressing Shift makes the player sprint, but stopping, switching direction, or hitting a wall returns them to normal speed. Free cam.
Sometimes the player might want to see what's ahead without running into the middle of a difficult fight.
Pressing Control unlocks the camera from the player and lets them use their mouse to look side to side, for example, over this cliff to check if any enemies are hiding. Pressing any key locks the camera to the player again. Status bars and stamina.
In this game, there will be health, hunger, and stamina.
When the player sprints, the stamina bar decreases. When stamina hits 0, the player stops sprinting and the bar refills. Jumping also decreases stamina. Hunger.
As stamina refills, hunger drains.
When hunger runs out, the player can no longer sprint or jump. If I'm not careful, this could lead to problems. But it's not meant to be a Mario-style platformer, even though this initial test level would make it seem otherwise. Health and an enemy square.
Health decreases when the player touches an enemy weapon.
For now, there's a classic health bar, which summarizes all the realism of cuts, bruises, sprains, cramps, and sickness into a simple variable. Touch the enemy square, and health decreases. Keeping track of limb damage and whether your arm is healed enough to lift a sword or even sign your name will be complicated, but that's the point. The hunger bar depletes to renew the health and stamina bars. When hunger reaches 0, the player does not take damage as in a survival game, but neither their health nor stamina can increase again until they eat. When health drops to 0, the game just ends.
That will change once there are menus and saving and checkpoints and stuff. With a full hunger bar, the player can heal up to nearly 8 hearts worth of damage, but since they use stamina in combat, they'll likely heal less than that. As it currently stands, food will be very important in this game, so it should be abundant. Or I could make the hunger bar beefier. No pun intended. Do you have any feedback about where the game is going so far? Do you have any suggestions about where it should go? The game is still in the early stages, but do you think it has potential? If you'd like to see a video where I talk about the games that I've tried to make or successfully kind of made before this, check out my second channel, Jasper's Campfire. Well, that's all I have for now. Maybe we'll cross paths again someday. Until then, God bless.